Welcome, welcome, workers and friends. Welcome back to Anti-Imperialist America. I'm your host, Dust James, the Marxist Leninist truck driver. I'm coming to you live from my humble home in rural North Carolina. Ugh, it's a good day. It's a good day. It's a Friday. Trying to turn these notifications down. While I got y'all in here, please like this video, please subscribe, please hit the bell button to get those notifications, and please share this on your Twitter and share this on your Facebook. It's a wonderful Friday night. I have a great, completely named Modelo Negra. I'm going to be enjoying with y'all. I also want you guys to get in the comments. I try to respond to all the comments that I can. It's been a long week at work, and there's no place that I'd rather be with friends and comrades here on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Twitters and all of that. Straight up shout out to brother Red Cliff Butcher. Glad to catch a live stream. I haven't done this in a minute. Um, it's been a while. I've been going through some rough times, personally. Uh, uh, I'm doing what I got to do. Quick, few announcements. I was I just spoke with brother Caleb Maupin of the Center for Political Innovation, and I will be attending the upcoming CPI conference in Chicago this August 6th. So if you'd like to meet me and see me speak, I will be in Chicago on August 6th, speaking at the Center for Political Innovation event. And I'm very happy, very happy. It's Chris on Twitter, man. I knew something was up, brother. I knew so. If you would like to join the Twitter chat, please send me a message on Twitter, and I will add you to the Working Class Revolt Twitter chat. Brother Chris out there in Canada is a great member of that. I also hosted a Twitter space today, and I hold follow me on Twitter and at DustJames90. You can be part of that chat group as well as join me on Twitter Spaces. I'm having a nice beer on a Friday night. I'm having my Friday night meal, frozen pizza. Good stuff. Good to be here with good friends. Comrade, what have you. Now, I've done this in a minute. I don't want to keep talking, and I want to get right into the show. Right into the show. I labeled the show tonight, You Ain't Nothing Without the People. Or it might say, You Are Nothing. But I should have put it as You Ain't Nothing Without the People. And I think that's important to know. If you look up on these YouTube spaces and these Twitter spaces in this age of the YouTube personalities and the Twitter personalities and the Twitter beefs, all about ego. All about the Facebook's all about ego. You post a picture of yourself up there, you get these likes, you get yourself feeling good about yourself. Folks get out there and they get tons and tons of followers and they're feeling so good about themselves like they do nothing wrong. And they do something for their followers, and the followers are like, they ain't doing nothing wrong. You say something that's like it's like a politician they invest their identity in. Oh, you done said something about this person. I like that person. I don't like you no more. All kinds of these petty egos. Petty egos. I want to tell you something about egos and pettiness and unprincipled beefs and all of this. That ain't how I was trained. I was trained in scientific socialism by people one step removed from the Communist Party of the 1930s and 40s that led the big union strikes, formed the labor movement in this country, and gave us the few benefits we have today as workers. When they mobilized the masses of people, and when the people had power, there wasn't no room for petty squabbles and big heads and people that were more about themselves than they were the people. There was no room for that. And you could see it in their very words and vocabulary. I was trained that you can't call yourself a party unless you have a mass behind you. You ain't worthy of the word party. It was told to me that you're not even allowed to call yourself a communist because the people were so inspired by Stalin, by what this people led by Stalin. Stalin was even nothing himself without the people. Stalin once said to his daughter, who was hanging out with his daughter, spending quality time with his daughter. His daughter looks at him and says, "Are you Stalin, Poppy, off the posters?" He goes, "Nah, I'm not Stalin. I'm your daddy." Because Stalin knew that he represented something bigger than himself. He represented the mass collective, which was the Soviet Union. Masses of peasants, masses of workers, masses of people who worked together and took their country from the most backward place in Europe to an industrial superpower within a few decades, defeated the Nazis, and then later on invented space travel. This was the Soviet Union. This is the legacy of Stalin. And the labor organizers and the communists and the socialists, the scientific socialists of the United States were so in awe and had so much reverence and so much respect for Stalin and the communist collective that they wouldn't even allow themselves to be called communist. They say, I'm a scientific socialist. I'm a member of the Communist Party. They wouldn't call themselves communists. The reason why they weren't allowed to call themselves communists because they weren't a member of a collective. They weren't a member of a socialist society working towards communism. In other words, they didn't have the people under their back. And why did they refuse to call themselves communist, even though they were promoting communism? It's because they didn't believe they were worthy of the title of communist unless they were part of a collective of people actively working towards communism. Because it's not big ideas, and it's not big figures, and it's not big talent. It is the masses of people that build socialism. It is the masses of people that make history. Without this, we're nothing. Without this, we ain't going to get nothing. And without the people, we ain't even going to be remembered. Our power comes from the people. All power to the people. And as socialists, we're nothing but servants of the people. And I think people got to get down off their high horse and get out of these egos and get out to the people and listen to the people. Because it's not your big ideas alone. Even Marx with his big ideas, or Lenin, all of these were informed by collective work. We're much stronger together. This is why I build these Facebook chats and Twitter chats and building networks and building community and facilitate places for discussion. Because one person and one person's ideas can't truly leave a movement. We're stronger off of, principled struggle. Struggle, unity, struggle. Unity, struggle, unity. As I like to say. That unity, struggle, unity, and those rap sections where you completely trust each other, completely can tear each other down to nothing, build each other up, and keep working. Keep working together, can be completely honest and keep your ego out of it. And then you can come to a better understanding. Because if your ego's so big you can't even advance, you can't even grow, you stay infantile, you stay childish, and you, most important, you stay disconnected from the masses, which is the source of the power of all socialists. Thank you. Shout out to Zephyr Data. It's very good to have you here. Thank you. And it's because of this. Recently, I was noticed upon the Facebook. We're just getting off of last weekend was the 4th of July weekend. And I saw a lot of folks on Facebook saying, "Oh, I ain't celebrating this 4th of July. You know, the United States was founded on genocide and slavery." And they're right. And the United States is the worst and most disgusting, despicable empire. And it is. And I'm not going out, and I don't even want to hear fireworks, because fireworks hurt the my dog's ears, and fireworks do all these are bad for the environment, what have you, what have you. And they're just going to stay in their house or do this or do that because they don't want to be identified with the masses of people celebrating the 4th of July. I'm here to tell you, you need to go where the masses are. You need to speak the language of the masses. You need to respect the people. And I made a point. I went by myself down to Lillington, North Carolina. And I saw the fireworks display. And I listened to the conversations of the people to get a feel for the masses. Why are they there? You know, families. And, you know, I saw there's a lot of interracial couples. And we live in a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial society. You know, and when I went down to the 4th of July celebration down there in Lillington, I saw folks, you know, mixed couples, folks of various ethnicities, people from various countries and various backgrounds. And rural North Carolina, we have a huge immigrant population from Mexico and Latin America. And when I was young, when I was about 14, I wanted to be a preacher, but that's beside the point. I come from, you know, I lived in down a mile-long dirt road. At one point, I lived down a mile-long dirt road in an 8-family and a 2-bedroom trailer. And I didn't get out to, you know, I was from a small town. I didn't get out to big crowds that much. When I saw big crowds, I'd be, you know, somewhat disoriented. If I went to, we didn't even have money to go to the county fair or what have you. Our best meal was frozen pizza every Friday. Some milk. I couldn't stand to be around crowds because it was so disoriented. I also wanted to be a preacher because there's something that happens to me when I'm around crowds. And I'm gonna be honest with you. This show right here that I do, Anti-Imperialist America, it's not entirely a political show. It's not entirely a Marxist-Leninist analysis. It is those things. It is politics. It is a Marxist-Leninist analysis. But I think at the deep root of what this show is are sermons. When I was 14, I wanted to be a preacher. It's not entirely my economic conditions that's pushing me to do this. Yes, I grew up hard, I grew up poor, and yes, I learned that scientific socialism is the way out of the crisis for everyone. It's a way out of the crisis for a better future, to improve the conditions of the American people. And I believe that. But the real reason I do this show is deep love for the people. As Che Guevara said, I believe that a great revolutionary is guided by great feelings of love. At the risk of seeming ridiculous, put that back at the beginning of it. I messed that quote up a bit, but you get what I'm saying. And I think really what motivates me is a sincere and hard and like a drive and a push to keep going out of a deep love for humanity, a deep love of the people. And when I'm around crowds and I see the face of children and men and women, girls, boys, all races, all creeds and colors, I see humanity. I see potential. I see innovation. I see the capacity for love, and the capacity for greatness, and the capacity for new ideas and innovations, limitless capacity, the limitless ideas, limitless potential in the eyes of every single person um, that I see. That's what I see. Everybody. Let me take a sip of my beer. And I think that's really what's at the core of Christianity. A lot of people don't practice it or see it, but the idea that God is love, the idea that you should do unto others as you should do unto yourself, that you should love your neighbor as yourself, as a commandment of the New Testament. This show really is a sermon, and it's motivated by that faith in humanity and that love of humanity. And he's got to be honest about it. That's what I see when I look into the people. And I'm drawn by the people. And I'm motivated by the people. And when I see that monopoly capitalism, imperialism puts us in insufficient housing, insufficient schools, limits our potential, gets us addicted on drugs, painkillers, locks us up, puts us in prison, wastes the minds of the people, degenerates and destroys the potential of human beings and the people and humanity. And they do this not only in the hoods and the hollers here. This is a worldwide phenomenon where the majority of human beings live on less than $2 a day because the constant need for the profits of a few oil and banking cartels based out of Wall Street in London. It's absolutely disgusting. So I go where the people are. And I went to the 4th of July celebration. And I saw the light and the potential and all the people. All the people in their glorious, all the different types of family structures, social units. And, people laughing and people spending time with their children. People getting off of work and coming out into the public place. And this is after COVID has ended. And I'm a lover of art as well. When I went there, I saw there's a group of BMX bike riders, and they've been doing it there. There's this dude that's been BMX biking. He went to Campbell University up down the street from me down there near Lillington, and he's been playing off and on at that fireworks show for 20 years. So they had a BMX bike show, and they had a two-person 1990s and 2000 country western band. 1990s 2000 country western cover band was the other source of entertainment before the fireworks show began. And before the fireworks show began, their last cover song, they played some good ones. They played some Toby Keith, and they played Zach Brown Band, and they ended with this one song that I both love and hate. I both love and hate the song Chicken Fried by the Zach Brown Band. And, I ain't done much singing set on here, hurt y'all's ears, and I got real drunk and did karaoke a few times at my house out there in Nashville. Every now and then I get that from the crowd. Ooh, the dude can sing. Every now and then I get that. Ooh, man, that dude needs to shut up. But I'm gonna attempt to sing "Country Fried." I'm gonna do a little bit of my segment on country music, Marxist Leninist analysis. Here we go. It's if I can get my phone working. Pull up these lyrics, I'll sing for you. There it goes. I got a cheap $200 cell phone. Uh, I'm looking off. My other one's charging. Here we go. Here is my attempt at Chicken Fried by the Zac Brown Band. And they played this song at the a two-man cover band played this at the 4th of July celebration down there in Lillington. They had the BMX bike riding, and they had all the different families and teenagers and couples and interracial couples and black and white and Rasa folks, and everybody was out there to celebrate the 4th of July. And I was out there because I wanted to be among the people and see the people and see where all the people are from. I'm gonna sing it for you. You know I like my chicken fried, cold beer on a Friday night, pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio. Well, I was raised up beneath the shade of a Georgia pine, and that's home, you know. Sweet tea, pecan pie, and homemade wine. In my house, it's not so much to talk about, but it's filled with love that's grown in the southern ground. And a little bit of chicken fried, cold beer on a Friday night, pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio up. Well, I've seen the sunrise, seen the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, and know a mother's love. Oh, it's funny how the little things in life that mean the most. Now, where you live, where you drive, or the price tag on your clothes. There's no dollar sign on a piece of mind. This I've come to know. So if you agree and have a drink with me, raise your glasses for a toast to a little bit of chicken fried, cold beer on a Friday night, pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio up. Well, I've seen the sunrise, seen the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, and know a mother's love. And I thank God for my life, for the stars and stripes. May freedom forever fly. Let it ring. Salute the ones that died, the ones that gave their lives, so we don't have to sacrifice all the things we love. Now that's the part of the song that I don't like. And it's a very clever combination. And it is this this is the very manipulation of super patriotism as done by Parenti, as described by Parenti. So what they're saying is people gave their lives. They salute the ones that died for the stars and stripes, one that gave their lives so we don't have to sacrifice. The cold beer on a Friday night, pair of jeans, the radio, music, culture. Love in my woman's eyes, a precious child, a sunset, nature. The reality is the people that went to Korea, mass murdered 1/5 of the population. The reality is that they mass murdered people in Vietnam. The reality is that the mass murder of the people in Korea, and the mass murder of the people in Vietnam, and the mass murder of the people in Iraq, and the mass murder of the people in Afghanistan doesn't help us here one bit. You know what raised the wages to buy that chicken and buy that beer? The union movement. The communists who led the union movement. That's what fought for the people. That's what got us what I want. The civil rights activists, the people that fought against the monopoly capitalists, the people that fought for struggle and class struggle, for everything we have is the working class. And this is the manipulation that super patriotism does to the people. It makes you associate the American flag with culture, with love, with life, with nature, with your very existence, with your very identity. And it twists it. And it forms it in a way that everything good you got, everything that's beautiful about this world, is hooked to the slaughter of far away black and brown people. It's absolutely disgusting the way they twist the masses. It seems like the 9/11 country music became super, and you're exactly right. And it's not by accident. And I have a few cultural examples I can show. When 9/11 happened, I watched my favorite Southern, the South's greatest import, according to Rock 103.5, Fayetteville, North Carolina, is the John Boy and Billy Big Show. And it's a bunch of redneck guys. They've been doing it about 20 years now. But I've been listening to them since 9/11. I've been listening to John Boy and Billy, Big Boy and Billy Show, redneck comedy for the last 20 years, 21 years. And when 9/11 happened, people were so used to joking. This is late 90s. This is the 2000s. The economy is relatively good. It's right before the last two economic crashes. Everybody's all laughing and joking all the time. And the station, after the news of 9/11 came down from, some big corporate news agency. John Boy and Billy didn't even hear it. And they played Another One Bites the Dust. The Queen song by Another One Bites the Dust. Another one bites the dust, and another one's gone, and another. They played Another One Bites the Dust after the 9/11 newsreel. And they're like, whatever, they didn't know they were supposed to be serious about it. They didn't know they were supposed to take this serious. And the next day they ran an apology saying, "Oh, we're sorry. It was already on the playlist. We didn't know, whatever." That was pretty funny. And there's another show, a religious show, a right-wing show called Seventh Heaven. And Seventh Heaven was about a minister's family who had like 7 kids. I think he had 5 or 7 kids. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. And they were like the most wholesome, sweet preacher's family. And they got into like little troubles here and there. And they learned about God and they overcame those troubles. A lot of people like myself who, grew up in more dysfunctional households, who had more problems and a little bit of problems they showed on that show, Seventh Heaven, would love to watch that show because it'd be like an escape from the current reality they live in. They live in a nice, wholesome family for once. And on that show, on Seventh Heaven, right after 9/11 happened, Um, they made a comedy scene about it. The two young girls in the family, the two young daughters, um, met with a policeman at an airport or an airport security, military, whatever kind of some kind of authority figure, police person at an airport. And the young daughters laughed and said, "Oh, you're going to detain us? You're you're gonna you're gonna hold us down? You're gonna arrest us? This is the world we live in after 9/11." They made a joke about 9/11 that said, "Hey, what's up with all this repression at the airport now because of 9/11?" That's what they did the first episode. And then the very next week, if you watch Seventh Heaven, you watch that episode, the very next episode, they did a huge pro-war, um, absolute disgusting, obviously paid for propaganda piece supporting the United States military, backing up the story behind 9/11. Later on in that show, they even made a young girl who was, they showed her as being anti-war, and they mocked and ridiculed her as stupid. And they in that show they even repeated the lie that somehow Saddam had something to do with 9/11. So you can look that I made a post on Facebook today, and the post on Facebook today was super patriotism is just as synthetic and just as astroturf as wokeism. And this kind of twisting of patriotism, of putting where what's supposed to be associated with love of the people and wanting to prove the lives of the people, twisting it to get people to support these wars that do not support our interests. That's exactly what the song Chicken Fry does. That's exactly what that television show Seventh Heaven did after they got to him. But you can kind of see the glimpses of the actual reality of people's real reaction to the situation. And you can see it, in country music. Chris Christopherson was very hard against the Vietnam War. Chris Christopherson did a video, was in a music video by Big and Rich. I think something called Detroit. And he played an old man that got laid off by the company. And you notice all of this. If you look at the football games, they used to not do the Star Spangled. The players used not to come out for the football game. The players used not to come out for the Star Spangled Banner until the military in the U.S. paid the players. They call it paid for patriotism. The military pays the NFL to have huge demonstrations of the flag and sends the military, and the U.S. Sends if a Hollywood script will rewrite their script to support the U.S. military and support the war machine, then they'll let them use tanks, and they'll let them use helicopters, they'll let them use military bases. All of this twisted form of patriotism isn't some kind of inherent sickness in the people. It's not an inherent racism in the people. It's not a reflection of the sin of the sin of birth of this country of slavery and genocide. It's being pushed. It's being pushed on the people, just like the illusions in Democratic Party, just like the illusions in the Republican Party are pushed by the biggest propaganda machine in human history is being used to twist the minds of the people to support the monopoly capitalist imperialist system and government that is destroying the lives of the American people. The CIA introduced drugs. Oliver North introduced crack cocaine in the ghettos, in the urban ghettos in this country, and then used the war on drugs to lock up masses of people in the home of the brave and the home of the free. We saw destruction of the union movement that the communists fought and died for in this country. Now we're seeing the proliferations of crystal meth and heroin in the rural areas as the factories are being shut down and boarded up and the roads are crumbling. And I'm tired of seeing it. And I'm tired of seeing the life expectancy of the American people going down. All for the profit of a few monopoly capitalists. I'm tired of it and I'm sick of it. I don't want to see it no more. And what do I see? In China, I see a country whose economy has grown 3 times in the United States for the last 4 years. I see 900 million people lifted out of poverty. New road systems, new factories, new technologies, high-speed rail throughout the country. And why do they have that? And why do we not have that? It's the system monopoly capitalism, imperialism here, decaying and dying system. And this in China, they have a rising, growing economy from the new economic system of socialism. And they do this with a 90 million member Communist Party. Representatives from all the neighborhoods and all the regions and all the ethnicities within the country that have real say over the collective, that have real say over the economy. And this government, controlled by the people, of, for, and by the people, as the U.S. Constitution says, that we're supposed to be celebrating on the 4th of July, which the American dream is live and well over in China because of socialism. They have, and the people control the banks. And the banking system in the United States, which is the source of all of the evil and the source of all the destruction, because the banks in China are controlled by the people, the banks don't invest in pharmaceuticals, oversubscribing pharmaceuticals and mass murdering and killing off the people, destroying the lives and the potentials and the ideas of the people with drugs, and then locking them up for those drugs. They don't invest in the prison industrial complex. They don't invest in massive military budget. That's more than the rest of the world spends on. They put that in homes. They put that in infrastructure. They put that in innovation, in technology, because the people have a say over the society. The people have a say over the government. And I want that here in America because I love the American people. I love the international American proletariat. Rasa, black folks, Asian, everyone, white folks. Each one whose minds are being poisoned by the lies of the imperialist system, whose futures are being robbed with drugs and with prison and inadequate schools and inadequate education and unemployment and underemployment. We ain't going to do it ourselves. Xi Jinping didn't just decide one day he was going to be a great leader. Mao didn't just say, oh, he's the greatest person with ideas. He was brilliant. What took, why do the people in China have power? Because the people rose up and took it and fight for it themselves. Mao's march, peasants who endured a century of humiliation, just like the monopoly capitalists are pumping drugs in our communities. The British pumped opium into the Chinese civilization, a great and old civilization, thousands of years civilization. A great people and proud people were kept in a century of humiliation by the British Empire. And Mao inspired the people. The people rose up. And Mao understood the people. And Mao spoke the language of the people. And I dare say Mao loved the people. And Mao empowered the people to free themselves and throw off first Japanese imperialism and then throw off the capitalist oppression and claim and forge a new destiny for the Chinese people that's being lived today. And now, since the investment in the economy and the growth of the economy, you see Chinese workers going on vacation all over the world. And I hope. So if I had to change this lyric, I thank God for my life. And the stars and stripes, may freedom forever fly, let it ring. Salute the ones who died, the ones that gave our lives so we don't have to sacrifice. I think really you don't even got to change the lyrics here. Maybe the people decide the flag. I don't know. It ain't up to me. The people want to change the U.S. into a socialist system and keep the flag. I don't care as long as they change the economic system and improve the people's lives. But it won't the people that mass murdered the Koreans. And it won't the people that mass murdered the Vietnams and the Iraqis and the Afghanis. It was the Communist Party. It was the labor unions. It was the civil rights leaders. It was the Panthers that died to advance our struggle. And now, as the world's coming down around us, gas prices have doubled in the last year. Real inflation on working people is in double digits. Masses of people are outcast and starving, as the old Union song says. More and more people are no longer going to believe the lies of the system. And no, their bribes, they do not have enough money to bribe us. They've invested in police forces. They've moved into their gated communities. They shipped out. They're trying to force all the homeless people into Skid Row in California and have thousands of people die on the streets. That's the harsh reality of what America is and what America currently is in its reality. And if we want to make it better, we want to improve it, we have to not sneer at the people and sneer at the people at their level of development and think that we're so smart and we understand the system and they're evil and they're bad and we're the good people. We have to understand the sentiments of the people. Understand where they're currently at. Understand the current development of the people. Understand what words mean to the people. Be among the people, from the masses to the masses. And then we can fight to improve conditions here. Only with the people. We're just talking up on the YouTube. I know I'm a hypocrite. I'm up here talking on the YouTube, talking on the Twitter in our own little battles, our own little tiny social circles. If we go to a major city and we go to the protest cage where the same 100 people, the same 40 people go to the same left-wing events and never get to the masses and never get to the people, we're not going to get anywhere. You got to understand the people. Fight for a new system. Cold beer on a Friday night, pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio hum. I seen the sun rise, see the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, know a mother's love, little bit of chicken fried. Huh. So be out in your community. If you're not, if you, I should probably join a church. Stop being isolated. Stop thinking you're better than everybody else around you. Understand and learn from the people. Apply the people. Speak the people's language. We're not going to go up to the people and be like, "Hey, you see that flag in your yard? You got to tear that down. It's racist." What does that flag mean to the people? It means what that song tells them it means. They associate culture and land and nature and their neighbors and the love of their families and the idiosyncrasies, which is America, multinational, multi-racial state. It's increasingly interracial. That's what they associate with that flag. You ain't gonna rip it from them. It's language. You're not gonna come in and mandate what language is. You ain't gonna do that. Speak the language of the people. You love your family. You love this country. You love the people in this country. You want to improve the conditions. We're in for a fight. We got to talk with each other and organize with each other. Stop being these little isolated consumer units that go to work, come home, and define our identities by consumption. One of the last places of community that isn't going shopping or being part of the capitalist system, consuming in the capitalist system or working for the capitalist system is the church. One of the last public places. And you wonder why the right wing got their victory of overturning Roe v. Wade. Because the right wing has been in the churches. The right wing has been manipulating the churches, spending billions of dollars. Because they use it as a divisive political tool. And they got to act like they're getting something. And why I'm on the subject of Roe v. Wade. I got something to say about the people, the leftists, who are being disrespectful to the people, and the masses of people, and the people around me, religious people. I'm just going to straight up and say it. I'm pro-choice. But if we want to get to the people and organize the mass of people and speak the language of the people, the source of all our power is socialists. We can't mandate social issues. We can't mandate issues of faith. The reason why black people, raza, I was raised by Mexican people. A lot of the partly raised by Mexican people. Mexican immigrants are a huge portion of my community and the people I grew up around. A lot of them are Catholic. And a lot of them are they're staunchly anti-abortion. And it ain't because they hate women. It ain't because they want to turn women into baby factories. It ain't because they want to control women's bodies. Also, women are also against abortion. It's because they value the life, I say a potential child. To me, I take a nuanced position on abortion. I'm pro-choice, but I do believe that a fetus is a potential human life. They see it, the religious people see it as a human life that should be protected. Not and they value that life over the ability of a woman to choose. And that's it. And when you go in there, you're calling people who are religious, who have deep felt feelings about these issues. You can't call them dumb and stupid and twisted and ignorant and bigoted and hateful. These are sincere religious beliefs that the people hold. And you got to be respectful of them. And you can't call people stupid. And this isn't the defining issue. This is not, I mean, I'm not downplaying the issue. I think it's important. I think women should have decisions over their own bodies. I don't think women should be forced to, once pregnant, be forced to grow that child inside and be forced to give birth to that child. But people believe that's a human life and they value that life. And you shouldn't call those people stupid, and you shouldn't call those people brain dead, and you shouldn't attack those people. Those are your co-workers and neighbors. And if you go to those people that are pro-life, a lot of those people are in favor of universal health care. A lot of pro-life people are in favor of raising the minimum wage. A lot of pro-life people may stay pro-life, but support the 4-point plan of the Center for Political Innovation to nationalize the banks and the industry and run the economy for the people and enact socialism in this country. In Nicaragua, which is a Catholic country, it's a socialist country, and they outlawed abortion. In China, the Soviet Union originally allowed abortion and later outlawed it. But I think we need to stop letting ourselves be twisted by the Democratic and Republican Party. Why is the Democratic Party raising the issue of abortion? Because everybody hates Joe Biden. Why does everybody hate Joe Biden? Because inflation is double digits. Gas prices are double. People are losing wages. Everybody fucking hates Joe Biden. And, they can't run on the economy. It's certainly not doing so. They're going to pick a divisive social issue. And they're going to mobilize people around the issue that doesn't cost them anything to do. And the Democratic Party could have protected Roe v. Wade and put it in the federal or state law a long time ago, but they don't want to. They want to use it as a political pawn to mobilize, to say to the women, hey, you're going to be forced. They're going to raise this issue. They're going to get people hysterical about issue to get people to polls to maintain their power. And the same thing, the Republicans are doing the same thing. The Republicans aren't going to do any better on the economy. Trump didn't do any better on the economy. Trump, a lot of his policies led to the crash. I think gas prices were lower under Trump. The economy was slightly better on Trump, but that was the booms and busts of the economy. It really is the bipartisan policies of the Democrats and the Republicans. There's no one better or worse than the other one. It seems like each is worse than the last because the empire is decaying and falling in on itself. So don't get caught up. That was pretty funny. Emma says Obama likes Biden because he makes him look good in comparison. Honestly, each president is going to be the worst because the conditions are going to keep worsening because that is the nature of the current U.S. society is to crumble. And the only way to get it better, the only way to improve the society is to build a mass coalition of people, as many people as we can get, the working class, black and brown folks, oppressed folks, the petty bourgeoisie, even lower portions of the bourgeoisie itself, that the monopolies are proletarianized, can be organized into a collective to fight against the monopoly capitalists, take power and build socialism. And if 70% of the people support, fully legalized abortion, 40% don't, or whatever the numbers are. And and we're gonna fight over each other in the streets over these social issues like they're the main thing that's happening when we're seeing inflation in double digits. Come on, give me a break. Don't fall for the lies of the Democratic Party. Don't get hyped on the issues they tell you to get hyped up on. Do you know how we're going to find out what issues do we need to struggle around? Organizations like this, like Working Class Revolt and the Working Class Revolt chat groups, where regular working class and oppressed people say what's bothering them. And you hear it from what the people are. You know, you hear it from the people themselves. The old Communist Party in the 1940s used to give out questionnaires to their membership and be like, what are the issues facing your community? What are the issues in your workplace? Instead of going behind and tailing whatever issues the mass media and the Democrats tell you to do it, we need to listen to our own people, understand our own people, and build issues and fight on issues that can mobilize as many people as possible. And I think the biggest issue right now that we can mobilize people around, the price of childcare, the price of food, the price of fuel, fighting for better wages because inflation has slashed our wages. These are mass popular issues that can mobilize people around throughout neither Democrat nor Republican, organize on a bipartisan issue. Get the non-voters, the Republican voters, the Democratic voters around these harsh, steering economic issues right here and now to fight against the monopoly capitalists. Unite the people against the workers and oppressed people. Unite and fight. You ain't nothing without the people. And folks need to get you ain't nothing without the people. It ain't your talent. It ain't your debating skills. It ain't your ability to make yourself look good in front of children that you mock. It's your ability to make mass economic appeals and to reach the people straight that's going to get us places. It's not building up your brand and building up your ego on these Facebook places that are not even in line with the people, but mass appeals directly to the people, building real organizations. And not because you are the great mind, not because you have the great ideas, but because you listen to the people's needs and you listen to the people's wants and you listen to the ingenious of the people. And you say, and you're not always so sure about yourself. You always don't you think you know everything, but you're honest and sincere with the people. I don't know this. Can you help me do this? I can't do this. Can you help me do this? Lean on each other. Work amongst each other. Teach the people around you. Lift the people around you up. You're not the big shining star. You need to teach one. Revolutionary education. That's the only way to actually find out what the people need, is to teach the people Marxism, Leninism themselves, and have them analyze their own conditions. And when through their understanding of scientific socialism, that they had analyzed their own situation and they bring that understanding back to the collective, and the collective can work on that scientific material understanding that's given from the masses. And from that, the collective and the central can make decisions that can best fight for the people and give back to the masses, from the masses to the masses. Each one teach one. Revolutionary education. It's never going to be one huge leader giving huge speeches to the people, and the people act off those issues from that leader. The social revolution that's going to come about where people ditch the ideology of the old system is going to come from millions of people talking to millions of people, having different conversations. The people are best at organizing their own neighborhoods. The people are best at analyzing their own situation. The people are best at telling the central committee what needs to be done for the people. Living within a collective, not getting above the collective, not promoting your own brand, not trying to make money off of YouTube or make a grift and sell something, sell hollow debate bro antics to the people. Organize the people, educate the people, uplift the people is what's going to make it. And no, you don't know everything. You know, instead of a big problem I see is people say, oh, we should do this in the elections, or we should do that in the elections, or if this politician did that, or this politician did this, or if this person run. Everybody who's saying that bullshit needs to go and listen to Cindy Sheehan. Cindy Sheehan, the peace mom. Cindy Sheehan, the peace mom whose son died. Now the peace grandma. Son died in Iraq. And she started to think maybe I shouldn't have sent my son to Iraq. Maybe what they were doing in Iraq was wrong. She came back and said, I'm going to do something about it. And she ran against Nancy Pelosi. And in her book, Lost My Marbles in San Francisco, she wrote about how the election process is rigged against the independent candidate. And the Democratic Party is rigged to benefit the corporations. You say this person run, that person run. You listen to the people that have already started fighting against the system. Learn from our elders. Don't get so pompous in your ideas that they're the best thing that's going to happen. Actually, get on the ground. Listen to people that's been doing something. Learn from people that have been doing things. Then maybe you're going to get there. So there was a recent interview between Cindy Sheehan and Don DeBar about Cindy Sheehan's election work, and I highly recommend that video as well. I've been on here an hour. It's getting near the end. I think I'm going to go through these questions and call it a night. Thank you so much for going on. Anybody that wants a shout out, tell me where you're from. I can go ahead and shout you out. I can give you your shout out and say where you're from. Let's see where all the people are coming from. If you want to get that, I'll do that. If not, I'm going to go over these comments and then I'm going to call it a night. Let's see. 19-9. Beautiful flag in the background. Yes, I put the Russian flag behind me. I put the Russian flag behind me. I get a lot of criticism before this. I say, well, why don't you put the Soviet flag? You know, Russia is capitalist. I get that. Oh, Putin's a bad guy. I keep hearing this bullshit. And I'm here to tell people that the Russian people and their government, as a sovereign nation, I respect the Russian nation as is. And I respect that Putin has lifted the country out of the chaos, which was the neoliberal era under Yeltsin. It was absolute chaos and anarchy, and the Western capitalists were stealing everything that wasn't nailed down. Massive outbreaks, drug addiction, prostitution, crime, where they got rid of all their public service. Well, Putin nationalized the oil. Putin reinvested in the country. Putin has improved the lives of the Russian people, and he's popular because of it. And when he improved the lives of the Russian people, they didn't do what the U.S. does to other partners. They were forced because they were in a bad situation, because China was already on the market. They allied with Syria. They allied with Venezuela. They allied with Africa. Russia, before the Ukraine war broke out and created instability in Russia, Russia was selling grain at cost to the African people. Russia was selling fertilizer at below market value to the African people. Russia is, while they were selling them grain to the Africans, while Russia was selling fertilizer to the Africans, Russia was investing in African countries so the African people could grow their own food. And I love the people and I love humanity. When I see the eyes of an American child, and I see that their parents are hooked on drugs, and they're not, and their schools aren't any good because the monopoly capital is here. I see the life that's going to be wasted because the United States provoked the war in Ukraine, because the United States has been investing and propping up Nazis going back before World War, going out right after World War II, and the coup in 2014 in Ukraine, where they used Nazi pawns to install a new government. And then Zelensky later got elected as a peace candidate, but the Nazis were still firmly in control, and they still controlled Zelensky. And the Russians said, there's Nazis on our border. You're putting weapons on our border. We need our basic security. We need our basic security. They're slaughtering ethnic Russians in the Donbass region. Nobody listened. Nobody listened. And then right when a slaughter was going to break out, right when they're about to escalate, they were going to further escalate the slaughter of the people in Donbass, President Putin said, enough is enough. You're not going to slaughter the people of Donbass. The Nazis are not going to be allowed to slaughter the people of Donbass. And they stood up. They made a heroic stance. A heroic stance against humanity's main enemy, U.S. imperialism. They stood up for themselves. They stood up for all people. And because they stood up for themselves, they face harsh sanctions that's destabilized their economy. And that is cut down on the amount of fertilizer and grain because of the international finance, the way it works. These sanctions have cut down on the Russians' ability to sell wheat, grain, fertilizer, and invest. And the people of Africa that produce their own food, thousands of Africans are in starvation because of what the United States did to attack Russia. And I have a deep love and respect for humanity, human beings. An African child is just as important to me as an American child. And I want Russia to be strong so they can fight against the same enemies we got here, so we can fight against monopoly capitalists. And they can continue to send grain and fertilizer and invest in Africa. And people in Africa can live full, fulfilling lives and not be subject to mass starvation. Let's go on to Rochester Swift. Past a certain point, a kid from Western New York, I found out I was safer among Mexicans in Florida than the whites born there, pretty loathsome, especially I'm going to talk with you for a minute there. I'm originally from upstate New York, around the Ithaca area. I moved down here when I was about 5 years old to North Carolina, and I had a very similar experience. I got along. First, most of my friends were black in elementary school, and by high school, most of my friends were from Mexico. And, and I had a little bit poorer than more of the Southern, labor aristocracy kids. And, I became a truck driver, and I'm looking back on some of them kids that were mean to me and bullied me for, my clothes and what have you. And they're doing worse off than I am now as a truck driver. So, people change. People aren't solid. There's been some of the biggest fighters for some of the best fighters against the war in Vietnam. Anti-war fighters were former military who were slaughtering Vietnamese. It's a wonderful thing about human beings is they can change, they can improve, and they can grow. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And I ain't writing off all of the Southern white aristocracy, a labor aristocracy, regardless of what current racist, sexist, backward views that this society has pushed upon them. I believe as conditions worsen, they can no longer bribe people off, and I'm already starting to see it. I think even some of the most reactionary people are going to lose faith in the system and look beside them. There's a great story of in Chicago where one of the leaders of the Communist Party was a black man, and there was a racist bigot who was about to lose his home in the Great Depression, and he had nobody else to turn to, right wing reactionary. But he heard that the Communist Party could help him stay in his home so he wouldn't have to live on the street that night. And the black leader of the Communist Party showed up with the entire neighborhood and stopped the police from evicting that man. You think that man was a racist anymore? People change. And it's our job to make them change. And I'm not writing off anybody. I got love and respect and second chances and benefit of the doubt for the working class. I do not have that for the enemies. I do not have that for the academics. That is reserved for the fellow working people. And through class struggle, we can use class struggle as a teaching ground for the revolution. And we can deal with these things, and the people can, instead of having the universities push out this woke ideology that they came up with and they struggled with, and they weaponize and they use woke ideology to attack and demonize the workers. They use woke ideology to attack the leaders of the oppressed and global South. The people need to have the resources and the time to grapple with these social issues and evolve on their own terms. Looking through these, I'm not going to be able to address all the comments. Red Cliff. All right, let me get a. Y'all share this out now. Share it out and like it. You ain't hit that like button, you better like this. Evening, y'all, from Jason Hunt. Evening, y'all. Thank you for being here. Here we go. Do you have any new studies planned in the future? Like, what are the future, like you did with Foundations of Leninism? Right now, we're studying a series on demands. We started with the Panthers. We did the Korean revolutionaries. We recently had a young woman from the Workers' Party in Britain on. You can go back and see that. And we're looking for more guests. So please email me or Twitter me if you know a group of revolutionary demands. We're probably going to end the series with the 4-point plan of the Center for Political Innovation. But we're doing studies on demands that unite the people against class struggle, basic demands unite the people against the system that we can organize around. And we're going to be looking at labor unions, looking at a bunch of stuff, and those are the studies we got planned coming up. Caleb Maupin is too uptight to eat pizza and drink beer on a live stream. You know, I love the brother, but I think, like I said, it ain't great minds or huge YouTube followings that's going to get us moving and going nowhere. It's the masses of people talking with themselves, learning from themselves, and giving to the broader collective that's going to move us forward. And I love and appreciate everyone who's doing anything to benefit our cause. But I think some people need to get down to earth and start teaching the people around them instead of lifting up their own brands. Here we go. And let COVID run rampant. More than 1 million dead Americans. And CPI don't spend much time talking about that. It's more owning the libs and creating the CIA reactionary. Tucker calls and tells the truth. CPI has been one of the forerunners pushing for universal health care. So, Jason Hunt, I think if we really want to combat COVID, we're going to have to enact universal health care immediately. The Center for Political Innovation and others have been doing exactly just that. Jimmy Dore who's running for president now, tried to push the corporate sellout, imperialist sheepdog Democrats to force the vote, and they didn't go along with it. I think the demand for universal health care is, if you want to stop the COVID deaths, that is the primary issue to organize the people around. I'm also going to talk about how, hey, why is it that the Democrats who refused to enact universal health care, Biden said he'd veto it, like to blame poor, ignorant, rural people who ain't even known what COVID is, who don't trust the medical institutions, who don't trust the pharmaceutical industry, because the pharmaceutical industry is the one that pumped drugs in and destroyed our communities. Maybe that's why we don't understand. We don't respect those institutions and have trust in those institutions. When we need to trust our institutions, we don't, because they fucked us over. Maybe you can give those people the benefit of the doubt and organize the people and fight for the policies that actually improve the situation, so we can have the necessary infrastructure to actually fight COVID and further disease that are going to happen in the future. Trying to look through these comments. Strategy of the elites, divide and conquer. That's exactly true. They use the Democrats and the Republicans and the various different cultural issues. It's the rural-urban divide. Rural people are sold based off of cultural issues that the Republicans are best for them. Urban people based off of mostly cultural issues and very superficial talking points that the Democrats are best. And everything in the world is wrong because of the Republican voters, or everything is wrong because of the Democratic voters. In reality, both those parties are controlled by the same banking and oil cartels that are destroying this country and destroying the world over. How many CPI members were in Iraq? There's a great friend of CPI, the brother, I don't remember his name, the brother who ran for the Party of Communists in Vermont is a veteran, and you can go back and watch one of the CPI web conferences that I organized. He spoke at that event. Yes, respect, full support for the denazification and disarming of the NATO Nazi illegitimate regime installed by the United States and the Ukraine. Yep. Let's go through this. Shout out to brother David Fox. Tomorrow, Working Class Revolt, 8 p.m. Eastern regular time, we're going to be having the great Carlos Garrido. Carlos Garrido, the advanced theoretician, the avid reader, the ideological powerhouse behind Midwestern Marx, is going to be joining us tomorrow. So everybody look out for that and study that over. Yes, I think there's one thing I could improve about Jimmy Dore. It would be the fact that he needs to come off his anti-China rant. It's a good one. China mainland under CPC has around 5,000 dead. USA, 1 million alone, with a quarter of the population. And if you go back and watch my interview with Caleb Maupin, where I'm supporting the anti-mandate truck drivers in Canada. The reason why I'm supporting those workers is because the Canadian government and the US government did not do what China did. And China didn't even have to pass the mandates, vaccine mandates, because the people had faith and trust in their system. And I think what China's zero COVID strategy actually had fewer lockdowns because they had a socialist system. They had a high amount of tests. They started testing as soon as they figured out about COVID. They tested from day one. They tested on a mass scale. And because they had this high amount of testing, they didn't do lockdowns blind, and they shut down a city here for a few weeks. And China was able to keep producing goods, which stopped the downfall of the entire global economy, was that China was able to keep running. And I think if we're going to actually organize the people here, we're not going to blame people who don't trust government institutions. We're not going to blame the people themselves. We're going to build the people up to fight against the monsters, the imperialists, Democrats and Republican alike, who are refusing to pass universal health care, who are refusing to have basic stockpiles of medical equipment. Those are the real motherfuckers we got to bring it to. And it's going to take the people to organize to be able to do that. Waba Cohen, thank you so much for joining us. Jason Hunt, thank you so much for your questions, even critical questions. I really appreciate you as a member of the community, and I really appreciate everyone here. And I want us all to talk with your neighbor, talk to your coworker, discuss and listen to anybody who will listen. Be respectful, be polite. Listen and learn to the people as you're talking with them so we can organize the people and we can fight for all power of the people. Thank you, comrades. Good night.